are from Group 9. My name is Nurenza Huzaifa Meilina and my student number is 003. The other group members are Geiska, Elmi, Anifah, student number 001. Elya Rahmawati, student number 006. Yulia Dwi Mulyani, student number 008. We're going to explain about chapter 10, Heads and Modifiers Revisited. This is the details of the subtopics we're going to discuss. The first we have for and against for phrases. The second we have verb, core, nucleus, and periphery. The third we have what is the head of a noun phrase. I'm going to explain about the first subtopic, which is for and against for phrases. Every phrase has a central word which controls the other words, phrases, and even clauses that occur in it. The central word is the head, and the other words and phrases are its modifier, which typically occur next to their head. Such phrases move around together, can be replaced by a single word, and can be ellipted. Let's take a look on the examples. The first is, the adult that we know and love has left, just packed her bags and walked out. Adult typically does not allow the definite article the. Presumably, the speaker who utters this sentence is thinking of adult not as a single individual, but as a bundle of individuals, or personae, who appears and disappear depending on the situations. The phrase, the adult that we know and love, picks out one of these individuals. In the lexicon, we must include information about the subcategorizations of proper nouns that they do allow a definite article, but only along with a relative clause. Adult is the head of the noun phrase, the adult that we know and loved. Inside the noun phrase, it controls the occurrence of the words the and the relative clause that we knew and love. That whole sequence of words can be replaced by the single words she. The phenomenon of ellipsis is shown in the second clause, just packed her bags and left. In this sentence, the subject noun phrase is the adult that we know and loved, and the verb phrase would be has left. And the second, Norman Lemming jumped off the cliff and William Lemming did so too. Did so indeed substitutes for jump off the cliff, but two words are involved, and it seems clear that the verb did substitutes for jump and that so substitutes for the complements of jump. And it is not normal constructions in British English. The third is Norman Lemming jumped off the cliff and so did William Lemming. It is the normal constructions in British English. The verb and its complement would have to be transposed to yield so did. So it is not even a straightforward substitutions of did for jump and so for off the cliff, compared to the previous example.
Hello everyone, my name is Elya Rahmawati Ramadhan and my student number is 006. Here I will continue the explanation from Nurenza regarding examples of some phrases. The fourth example is came right in he did without so much as a knock. It is the structure from spontaneous spoken English. Unfortunately, the structure of the fourth example is not clear. Came right in he did could be seen as a rearrangement of he did come right in, except that in the latter come has no tense, whereas in the sentence came is past tense. So, the fourth example can be analyzed as having a two-clause structure in which the first clause, as happens regularly in spontaneous speech, is lacking a subject. That is, this sentence is not a basic construction but results from ellipsis. The fifth example is Harriet couldn't marry Mr. Knightley, but Emma could. The phrase marry Mr. Knightley has been ellipted. Emma could marry Mr. Knightley is reduced to could. The next example is What Harry did was marry Mr. Martin. In this example, what Harry did as its subject and marry Mr. Knightley as its complement. Next is marry Mr. Martin was what Harry did. These examples show that a verb plus complements or an adjunct does form a phrase in certain constructions. Only verbs without tense and aspect turn up freely in different constructions. And the last example is Emma insulted Miss Bates and annoyed Mr. Knightley. It can be analyzed as having a subject-noun phrase, Emma, and two phrases, verb phrases connected by an insulted Miss Bates and annoyed Mr. Knightley. Many analyses employ verb phrases, but the evidence is much weaker than for other types of phrase and not strong enough for us to abandon the view that the verb is the head of the clause. That's all from me. The next explanation will be explained by my friend.
Hello, my name is Yulia Dwi Mulyani, student number 008. So, I will continue the material. The next material is about verb, core, nucleus, and periphery. So, the first is verb. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, verb is a word or phrase that describes an action, condition, or experience. Next, core. The core of a clause is the verb. It contains the nucleus and the arguments of the predicate. Next, nucleus. Nucleus is the primary constituent units of the clause, which contains the predicate, usually a verb. The nucleus contains the verb and its complements, such as subject, direct object, indirect object, and oblique object, or adverbs of direction. Next, periphery. The periphery consists of oblique objects, which are adverbs of time or adverbs of location, and some other types of adverbs. Adverbs are a very large and heterogeneous class, and in at least one construction, the middle construction, adverbs of manner seem to be obligatory with some verbs. For example, her new book reads well is quite acceptable, but her new book reads is not acceptable. The periphery, which subsumes non-arguments of the predicate, for example, setting, locative, and temporal phrases. Now let's see the box diagram on the screen. There are two boxes in the top box. The first box has predicates plus arguments, and the second box has non-arguments. In the box on the left, we can see that a clause has three elements. They are core, nucleus, and periphery. So that you understand better, I will give an example. Now look at the box on the right. Louis saw me yesterday in the library. The core of this clause is Louis saw me. The nucleus is saw, and the periphery is yesterday in the library. A final and strong piece of evidence for the core position of verbs in clauses comes from languages in which a clause can consist of a single verb. There are three: Latin, Turkish, and Luganda. You can read it by yourself. So, the Latin clause in the first one consists of the verb pugnature. This verb is passive, while it might be thought that a subject-noun phrase has been elicited. It is difficult to know what the noun phrase might be. The same applies to the Turkish passive verb. The Luganda verb is active. No independent noun phrases are needed because in contact the person doing the chasing and the bird being chased are obvious to the hearer.
My name is Geiska Anifah and my student number is 001. And now I would like to explain what is the head of a noun phrase. The head is the most important part of a phrase. It controls other words or modifiers in a phrase. In a noun phrase, the head is a noun or pronoun. Consider the following examples. 1. Harry swooned. 2. Willie ran up to where he had seen Marion and Margaret. 3. The book is boring. Example 1 shows that a verb or a verb and its modifiers occur in the same slot in a clause. Example 2 shows that a preposition or a preposition and its complement occur in the same slot. Example 3 shows that an adjective or an adjective and its modifiers occur in the same slot, whether as complement of is or modifying a noun. In other words, the entire phrase occurs in the same slots in clauses as the head word. Now look at these examples. 1. Golfer has a pretty powerful swing. 2. The golfer who is in training has a pretty powerful swing. Golfer in example 1 and 2 is not a nickname. It is a singular count noun which cannot occur on its own but requires an article or a demonstrative. The pattern in the examples, which we call a noun phrase, doesn't have a noun as its head. On the other hand, the pattern indicates that the determiner is the head, so the phrase should be called the determiner phrase. Phrases that contain proper nouns or plural nouns or singular mass nouns must be analyzed as determiner phrases containing a determiner that happens to be 0. This approach can be used to recognize two types of head, namely syntactic heads that control the distribution of phrases and determines their type, including determiner, adjective, prepositional phrase, and so on, and semantic heads that control the sort of complements and adjectives that can occur. And this is the references that we use to make presentation material. Alright, that's all the presentation from our group. Thank you for watching and see you.